Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here. And I was thinking about this the other day and about how people define diversity and how people define inclusion and how that affects the work that we do together. And so I'm curious, how do you define diversity? If you're like many people, words like differences or variety comes up, but there's still way too many people that when they say diversity, what comes to mind is discrimination, deficiency. Diversity is about quotas, racism. And I've even had someone say to me, diversity is just a waste of time. There's no diversity. We're all human. It's just one human race. And how do you define inclusion? Everyone gets their own way about everything they want to do. People are only included if every person is involved or invited. Last year I was speaking at an event and there were about, I don't know, more than 2,000, almost 2,500 people in the audience. And someone just about a third of the way back in the room yelled out, "Inclusion is communism." You could hear a pin drop in the room. It was awkward. And it was also kind of funny for me because I was able to, of course, use that in the presentation. What I want to do in these next few minutes is share with you the simple definitions that many of my clients have come to use. And I also want to share why you as a leader should care about both diversity and inclusion. So let's talk about diversity. Let's talk about inclusion. The definition that I use for diversity most often is this one. Diversity is all the ways we are different from each other, both genetically and culturally. All the ways. Not just some of the ways, not just certain groups, but all the ways we're different from one another, both genetically and culturally. And my favorite simple definition of inclusion is that inclusion describes the environment we create when we have become committed to using diversity in order to achieve our common goal. Inclusion is the environment we create when we are committed to using the diversity that exists in order to achieve our common goal or our common best good, right? So why should you care about diversity and inclusion? If you are a leader in an organization, you know, some people think that diversity is just something you talk about when there's a problem. Some people say that or think that diversity and inclusion are about catering to political views or succumbing to certain personalities or people, or focusing on the problems that come with more and more diversity in our world. But I'm here to tell you this. Listen up. If you are a leader who cares about getting business results, and if you are a leader who cares about having really strong and effective business relationships, then being curious about diversity and being committed to inclusion will actually help you achieve the success that you desire. What do I mean? Well, whether you're focused on the diversity of the people in your workforce or the diversity in your membership, if you're an association, or maybe you are paying attention to the diversity in your potential customer base, or the diversity in the church where you are a leader, or in the community where you live, you have to recognize that in the balance sheet of success, of business success especially, diversity is a resource, not a liability. And inclusion is an asset that increases your market value. Diversity is a resource, and inclusion is an asset. But achieving inclusion is not easy. It requires, number one, an intentional strategy. And many organizations and leaders just try to wing it. Number two, it requires a willingness to build new skills or to strengthen the skills you have in cross-cultural communication or cross-cultural marketing or cross-cultural conflict resolution. So it's not easy, but it is possible. About 18 years ago now, Amanda, I'll use the name Amanda, she was a senior vice president in a technology company. And she invited me to facilitate a one-day intensive with the leaders in her part of the organization. And as she was introducing me to the 50 or so people in the room, she said something like this. I participated in an association-sponsored education series last year that was titled Leaders for Champions of Diversity. And she went on to say one of her biggest surprises was that talking about diversity could be easy with a little help from Tracy Brown. So I would love to help you have meaningful and effective conversations that are about diversity and how diversity can help you achieve your goals, how diversity can help you meet the needs of your customers and clients, and how diversity can help you build an inclusive environment. I promise you, when you stop making diversity your enemy, when you recognize the business advantages to inclusion, your reputation, your relationships, and your business results can all improve. So remember, the definition that I use for diversity is all the ways that we are different from one another, both genetically and culturally. And the definition that I use for inclusion is inclusion describes the environment we create or the actions we take to create an environment where we are committed to using diversity in order to achieve our common goal and move toward the mission of the company or excel at the priority business results. Let me be your guide. Together, we can create a roadmap to inclusion that reflects the mission, the vision, the values, and the business priorities in your organization. My name is Tracy Brown, President of Intentional Inclusion Incorporated, and let's talk soon.